and fairly, oh, not so bad. Might be a little bit blurry. Give me a second. I am so happy that you joined me here for Friday happy hour. There, I think it's a little bit in focus. We are creating an Otterly Awesome Valentine's Day card. So if you've just clicked by, if you're just getting started, here's the cute little interactive card that we are creating, and it says, "You are utterly awesome." I don't know if you can see the little arrow. That means you need to spin the wheel, and we're going to be spinning, let's see, this way. And there we go. He spins all the way around. There's the swimming otter. He's coming in upside down. All of the dies that are included on this card are part of the Give It a Whirl die set. When you open it up, it says, "Happy Valentine's Day." So what do you think? And I do have a little more manly version. Stick with me till the end. I'm going to share it with you then. I'm using the Awesome Otters stamp set. It's a celebration gift set. And I'm picking up a couple of the sentiments from the new Sweet Conversations Valentine's Day set. So I'm using Happy Valentine's and then just the "You Are" from the set here. And the star of the show, which makes it so easy to create this card, are the dies that are in the main catalog. So on page 163, they're called Give It a Whirl. They are $39, but you get 21 dies, and you have all the mechanics to creating the little spinning wheel. And again, 163. If you need a catalog, please reach out to me. I always say, seeing the things in the catalog is better than seeing it online. Of course, seeing it in person, hands-on, is the best, but failing that, a catalog is a really nice way to browse. So the Give It a Whirl dies, they have all of the pieces here, and sometimes it's a little bit intimidating when you see so many dies. You do need some to make the card function, and then there's some decorative elements. So the main die that we need is the wheel, and then we need a window. And this die set has a heart. It has a rectangle window, it's got a circle window, and then it's got like the pie wedge window, which we are actually going to be using today. It's also got some arrows that you can die cut out, or that you can just soft emboss right into the card stock itself. We have some frames, we have some elements like clouds, stars, hearts, a little banner label, and we have this little piece here that I did happen to use on the project. It's got the little arrow which shows you the direction that you should be spinning. And I've got that placed on there with washi tape. We're going to be using that in a few minutes. These are the Give It a Whirl dies. As I said, everything's included in the set, so that's what we're working with today. And I do have a special coloring technique that I hope that you will give a try. All right, so let me move the dies out of the way. We're going to start with that technique. By the way, if you're interested in my Drinky Winky, it is called the Tahiti. Can you see that? Do you enjoy crafting a cocktail just like you enjoy crafting cards? This one is really tasty. It's called the Vanilla Sky. It's got vanilla vodka, agave, lime juice, pineapple juice, orgeat syrup, and orange curacao. Don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but my drink looks pretty similar to that, but I'm using my cute little shag glasses today. So, okay, so to get started, here's what you're going to need. You are going to have to take a visit to your kitchen drawer for some plastic wrap, and you're going to have to go over to your laundry cupboard for some bleach. And you need fresh bleach. You might want to make sure it's still potent. And I use the cheap plastic wrap. You can use the good stuff, or you can use this stuff here. And we are going to start with a piece, a generous sized piece. And I don't know, it doesn't really matter. You're going to see. You just need a little tear of it. All right, so we need that to start. This is a coloring technique. So the next thing I'm going to bring in are my coloring tools, and I am using markers. And I'm going for that watery ocean effect. Just like, remember, I said this is, my little drink is reminiscent of the cruise. We're out on the ocean with Pacific Point, let's see, Bermuda Bay, and Coastal Cabana. We are going to be creating a background for that otter, and pretty simple but pretty fun. So let's see. We're going to start off with, oh, let me just say, we are going to be coloring the background of the wheel from the die set, and bear this in mind because this is the area that I want to create a background for. So it's approximately going to be like 4 inches square, 4 inches round. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to start kind of in the middle with my darker color. I'm just going to kind of scribble out with Pacific Point, and then I'm going to come in a couple times with the next tone, the Bermuda Bay. And I'm just kind of doing some scribbles here, nothing too artistic. And then I'm going to use my Coastal Cabana up at the edges. So I know you can barely see on here. And I'm hoping that this is a big enough swatch. Let's see if I can pull up just a little tiny bit so you can see better. There we go. And I'm going to bring in my card. I'm keeping that at the ready. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in my paper, which happens to be the shimmery white paper. It is the ocean, and kind of like the sky, you're going to get some of that shimmer that comes through, which is going to be perfect for the effect we're going after. I'm going to use my Aqua Painter, and I'm taking the biggest one. It's fully loaded with water. So what I'm going to do is drip down onto my cardstock. I'm going to add some water elements down here. You can see I'm kind of going in dots. I just want to get it saturated all the way around. This is such a fun effect. Now I'm going to kind of brush that on because I do want to have water for the most part on the entire wheel. Okay, so I'm going to lift my fingers there. So overall, it's pretty saturated with water. I'm going to go ahead and put my cap on and rest that. And now I'm going to bring over my coloring effect, which by this point has gone a little bit dry. Hopefully it'll work. Perfect. And you can kind of see it moving around. And I'm going to see if I can shift that a little bit. There's a tiny bit I didn't get covered, just like so. Okay. And I'm just trying to kind of get the watery effect all the way through. I'm going to pull that off, and you can see my water. You can see the coloring, and I just have a paper towel at the ready to kind of absorb some of that extra water. Now be sure to post a question if you have any questions or comments. If you want to try this technique, it is fun. It has a really cool effect. Most of the supplies we'll have at the ready. So what we're going to do next, we are going to dry this up. We're going to be stamping on it, so it needs to be dry. And you can heat set it, you can let it dry. I have another one completed and dried so that you wouldn't have to wait on me. And everyone is going to look a little bit different. So you can see the differences. This one just happens to be dry. This one has little like blotches too, which are kind of nice. Can you see I just like all those watery colors blending in there. All right, so we've got that going on, and I'm just going to check. Let's see. Hello, Debbie. Thank you for joining me. All right. So next, I am ready to stamp. I've got a background. I have my wheel for the Give It a Whirl card. And what I'm going to bring in is a tool I created with the die. And let's see if I've got, if this will show up better. There, I've created a wheel, and I actually did the cutouts in the pie wedge or the baseball field shapes because I want to be able to gauge where my image is going to land on that wheel. So I've got it created. I'm going to place it right over top, and I'm going to stamp right on it. But I want this kind of to be down so I'm not struggling with it. So I'm going to bring in some temporary adhesive and just kind of position it on my tabletop so that it's not moving around on me. I'm going to bring in my tool. And by the way, how I created this, you know, sometimes when you get your stamp sets, or when you get your stamp sets, you actually have 2 layers of acetate on the stamps. You have one underneath and one on top. One is a little bit heavier, and that's what I've taken. Hello, Debbie Scott. Thank you for joining me. Cheers. So I created the wheel with that heavier acetate from one of the stamp sets. Otherwise, it would just be an extra, maybe for the rubbish bin or something. So I'm going to bring that in. I just die cut it. I cut out the wedges, and I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to put that in position, and I'm going to take some washi tape to hold it down, because as I stamp, I want to be able to gauge my image area. So I'm going to be stamping with stays on. And that's because we have to have the opposite. This is a permanent solvent ink that we want up against the dye inks that we used on the background to create that watery ocean effect. So I'm going to start with my main image, which is the little otter peeking up out of the water. And I'm just going to ink up in stays on black ink. And I have my window here, so I know exactly where I'm going to be in view here. And I'm going to stamp down and press firmly. This is a red rubber stamp, so I can't see through, but that's why I have that tool I created. And there you see my little otter peeking through, right? We're going to be doing a little bit more with him in just a few minutes. Now, what I want to do, I am going to turn the wheel because I'm really visual. I want to see it upright in the right position. So then I'm going to go ahead and secure that back down, but I need to move the washi tape out of the way. Otherwise, if I stamp right on top of it, it's going to affect my image, right? All right, so next I'm going to bring in, and by the way, I'm just kind of checking through as I'm turning. I'm going back to my reference card. Next is the little guy. He's actually the dancing otter, but I'm going to have him kind of floating in upside down onto my wheel. And that's the reason why I don't want him right side up. So you could position him however you want. I just want that little feel like he's kind of floating by. And I'm going to bring him in from the right. So stamp him down. Not going to get his entire body, just his head and his arms, like he's swimming in. Perfect. Now I'm going to rotate my wheel on my desktop again, because as I said, I like to see it in the right position. So I'm just turning that wheel, and I've got temporary adhesive under the wheel itself. And I have my washi tape to hold my handmade tool, my DIY tool, in place. All right, so the next little guy is the floaty guy who has a little snack fish, or fish snack, on his belly. And he also is floating by. He's going to come in from the left. And so I can see exactly where he's going to be on that wedge. All right, so I've got my stamping done on my wheel. These are the Give It a Whirl dies. So fun. And oh my gosh, you can just go to town creating with these dies. There's so many things you could do. I think I shared with you one card with the penguin pals. Now, I want to eliminate the background color from my otters. So here's how I'm going to do that. Oh, that's interesting. So if I put them in position, they're kind of, because they're upside down on the bottom, they're actually upright. All right, maybe I could have noticed that before. So remember I said you had to raid your laundry pantry. You got your bleach. I have a little supply in my container, and I am using an old dried out blender pen. That's going to be my coloring tool. I'm going to dip it into the bleach, which, if you've ever used bleach before, you know it removes color, right? So I'm just going to bring this in, and I'm going to slightly pick up the color from the otter. He's going to come back in white. There we go. And I am so happy you're joining me for happy hour. I hope you got a little drinky winky, maybe a little snack, and you are ready to rest and get the weekend started. I have been working all day. I have not eaten today, which is why I even got my little bar snacks, my little pretzels, to go along with my drink, my Vanilla Sky. All right, so all I'm doing is lifting the color from the otters because I just want that ocean in the background. I don't want it right through my otters. And you just need a little bit of bleach. It takes a little bit of time. And we are going to need it to be dry because we are going to be coloring in the otters with the Stampin' Blend. We're going to give them a little bit of a coat. So I'm going to be using crumb cake. So we're using Stampin' Write markers and we're using the blending pens as well as the blender pens. So 3 tools and the Aqua Painter. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot of coloring tools today. Okay, so we're going to see the magic of bleach happen. I see he's still got a little bit of water spot on his belly. And I've pretty much removed the color from the otters. I'm done with the bleach. And I'm going to let that dry out for just a little bit. So, let's see, I've done that. I am thinking while we're letting that dry, we're going to do some die cutting. So I'm going to push that aside for now. For the card base itself, I am using Coastal Cabana, and this is a horizontal orientation. So I've got it at 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored right in the middle at 4 1/4. So we need to go ahead and fold that down. And I'm going to take my number 2 tool, the bone folder, fold that down right on the score line. I also have a piece that's just about 5.5 by 4. This is where we're going to do our die cutting. This is the top layer of the card. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And we're going to bring in the big guns. We're going to use the Big Shot. And I have my magnetic plate and a cutting pad. Put my paper down. And I have the Give It a Whirl die. Doesn't matter which way I point it at this point. We're just cutting the card front. And we need a cutting pad on top. So such a fun card. So easy. Okay, so I've got that. And while I have this on the plate, let me take this away. I'm going to toss that rubbish. I am going to bring in the window that I chose for this card. And I'm looking at my orientation. The cutaway for the spinner is going to be at the bottom. The view is going to be at the top. So this is one of those where I couldn't cut it together. There are some that I could cut at once, like if I was going to do it in the upright position, in a vertical position. However, this one's horizontal, and if I do it at the same time, I'm going to get some indentations in the paper because I've got a support beam coming straight down the rectangle, and my viewfinder, that pie wedge, would interfere there. So I'm doing 2 separate cuts. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it through a second time, and I'm going to position it right. It's like at the upper right hand side. You could use some washi tape if you don't want it to move. I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope for the best. Okay, so then I need a cutting pad on top. And this card front has the sweetest stitching all the way around the perimeter. So that in itself makes a really nice card front. Okie doke. So I've got my layer with the cutout for the wheel and the viewfinder here. I am going to be texturizing this as well. So let me get these things out of the way. And I'm using today the bark embossing folder. It kind of looks like waves. And I just know for this particular folder with the Big Shot, I need the multi-purpose platform. I'm going to be doing it with the Stampin' Up label at the front. I'm just going to slip that into, I know you can't see too well. I can't zoom you out, or unzoom you. I'm just going to crank that through, create my soft embossing, crank it through. All right, and then I'm going to move the Big Shot out of the way. So what do you think? Are you going to be sending Valentine's Day cards How many do you think you will actually send out? I'm hoping to do quite a few. I am in for the holiday. It's kind of like Christmas time. I think at Christmas time I sent out about 100 cards. I don't know if my Valentine's list will compare, but I'm going to shoot for it. Okay, so you can see where we're going here. Here's my top layer. We have created the wheel, but we still want to color in our otters. I am going to bring in the blending pens, and I'm going to start with crumb cake, and I'm going to add a little bit of highlighting or some shadowy areas with the light soft suede. So I'm using light crumb cake and light soft suede. And the reason I have two is because I have dry blends. I hold on to them forever because sometimes the brush tip goes before the pen tip, and I can always use the pen tip. Oh, Debbie says she's going to send out 30 to 40. Yay! Yes, start now, Debbie, because you want to send out special cards. I love seeing that number. That's awesome. I'm going to try to outdo you, Deb. I'm going to try to go for, I'm going to say 75. Let's shoot for that. And I know not all of them are going to be this labor intensive, but I want to make them special. And I think this is going to be a special one. And you might be thinking that this is a little bit girly because it's got like pink hearts, right? So maybe a little bit girly with the Bermuda or the Coastal Cabana paper as well. I'm going to share with you a more manly option as well. Okay, so here's my wheel. I'm going to bring in, as I said, my light crumb cake, and because I already know my brush tips are dry, and mine are dry because they get so much use. I share them at my classes, I share them during my clubs, and I know they get a lot of abuse. So however, the pen tips usually last quite a bit longer, so I hate to throw them away. I can still use them, right? Okay, so, and I did see somebody else who joined us. Thank you so much for clicking by, guys. I hope that you're following the page so you know when I go live, which typically should be Friday happy hour. I do extras as well. But typically it's every Friday happy hour. On the 1st, I should do out into to the mailing system this weekend, and hopefully we will get them soon because I'm looking forward to those. Those will be part of my cards. Uh-oh, there we go. Oh, I think I might have unstable internet. I hope you stick with me till the end if I click off. By the way, if that happens, you know I'm going to click back on, so stick around with me. Okay, so I've got my crumb cake otter. What I'm going to do is bring in, and let's see, I'm going to take a quick look. Oh, hi, Marcia. Thank you for clicking by. And here we go. I'm just going to take my soft suede and kind of outline those areas where he would have a little bit darker coat and his nose. So he's such a happy little otter. Here he is hugging his little fish, which is going to be consumed soon, right? And again, he could be dancing otter or he could be floaty otter. There we go. All right, so, and you know what? I see a couple of water spots that I took the ink from. Let me add them back in. Let's see, I'm gonna bring in my Bermuda Bay marker, and let's see if I can do that. Yeah, it'll work. In fact, I'm gonna highlight some of these splashes here with my marker. Such a fun card. I hope that you're gonna give it a try. There we go, there's my otter. Now, what I like to do with this Give It a Whirl die set, I do a second cutting of heavyweight cardstock because this is our mechanism that's going to be spinning around. I want it to be nice and stable and thick. And so I'm going to do an extra backing, and oh my gosh, I have a new bottle of Tombow liquid glue. And this is no exaggeration. I opened one 3 days ago and already I need a new one. My favorite adhesive, I use it for everything. I have been making a lot of cards. By the way, if you are following me, I released my Valentine's Day gift set, which is using the tulips, the flowering tulips. I think it's a really fun card set that would be great as a gift or to mail out individually. And if I take a break, I might run and grab them to show you as well. Okay, so all I've done is I've glued that up with some Tombow liquid glue. This is just going to be my backing to make it nice and sturdy. The top layer was shimmery white. The bottom layer is just the basic white thick cardstock. And so I'm just going to go ahead and marry these two pieces together. Then we have our cute little otter peeking, floating, ready with his snack, and just a little on his back floating otter. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to bring in my bone folder and burnish it down. I've been using my hands. The bone folder is so much better. All right, so there we go. We are on our way, almost ready, and we have our cute little otters. Next, I am going to bring these two layers together, and I'm going to secure them together with a brad. So brads are just these little tools that we're going to layer up with. We're going to poke through first the card front layer and then our wheel. And we're not going to do it really tight because we want to be able to spin our wheel. So I'm going to do it kind of loosely. Fold that over. All right, so you can see how it's coming together now. There's going to be our card front. Now to put this or adhere this to the card front, I am using my foam adhesive strips. And these come in either long strips, or I trimmed mine down to make them a little bit shorter. And I have lots of extra loose pieces, so let's see what I can use up here. All right, so I'm going to remove my base, flip over my front layer, and this is perfect because we want to have even support all the way around. So I'm going to use the foam adhesive down the sides. This is going to lift this layer up off of the card front. That allows the wheel mechanism to turn. And the brad, remember we did that loosely, so it's going to be pretty easy to turn. And I'm going to position that there. Now I'm going to bring in more of the foam mounts. I'm going to put it all the way around, especially if you're mailing these. I need to snip, so let me bring in my paper snips right at the ready over here. Just going to snip that in half and position that in place and there. And I'm going to give it lots of support. If it goes through the mailing machine, it's going to smush all of that down. So I want to make sure it's got lots of support going through. And smaller, I'm just snipping the adhesive strips. And I'm going to do a couple of more around the wheel. I'm not going to secure the wheel down. I'm just going to add the support around the wheel. So I'm going to snip and kind of do a little bit of a cradle here. So cute. And again, these are the awesome otters from the Sale-a-Bration catalog and the Give It a Whirl dies that are in the main catalog. There we go. And I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny support there. So I'm going to snip this even more. Now you could also use the Stampin' Dimensionals. You just would have to use more of them. I'm trying to figure out, there we go. Position that right in place. Okay, so there we go. I've got lots of support on that. You can kind of see how that's going. I've got my card base, which is also Coastal Cabana. I'm going to reveal the sticky on this by just peeling off the top layer, that protective covering. So now I've got two sticky sides with the foam adhesive. And And do it all the way around. There we go. A couple more to do. There. So this is a perfect friend Valentine's Day card or family member Valentine's Day card. There we go. And so the card front, this is a little bit different measurement. Typically the card front is either 4 by 5 1/4. This one actually doesn't follow that standard recipe. It's going to be a little bit short on the sides, or sorry, on top and bottom. So I'm going to give a little bit more border at the top and the bottom. On the ends, it's probably about 1/8 of an inch. Top and bottom, it's like 1/4. So there we go. Now we've got our basics for the card, and oh, I forgot to do one step. So I will show you on my reference card. On here you can see there is a little tiny arrow that tells the recipient which way to turn, right? So if we're turning and we're going to go this way, there you go. And the arrow is part of the die set. And I neglected to do it on this one. I was in such a hurry to get the coloring and the back technique done that I forgot to add that arrow. So you can do that. All right, so now we're going to decorate our card front, and I'm bringing in more elements. Okay, so I've got basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4. This is for the inside of our card. And then I'm going to add some die cuts from the Give It a Whirl stamp set. I've got a heart in polished pink. And let me bring you all, and these were die cut in advance, so you wouldn't have to watch me do all the die cutting. I've got polished pink hearts. I've got the bigger heart. These are from the die set. Remember, this is a large die set, 21 dies, and we've got the hearts going on here. So I pre-cut those, and I cut the largest heart that we're going to be putting on the front right over that brad. We have a smaller heart that we're going to put on the inside, a smaller heart right off our label, and also part of the die set, the clouds with the stitching. I forgot to say that about the heart. These clouds have the sweetest stitching, the hearts have the sweet stitching, and then I also got the banner for our label from the die set. So I'm going to start off with my clouds. The back cloud I am adding with just flat adhesive. I call it flat. You could use Seal Plus, Seal, or multi-purpose liquid glue. That's my flat adhesive. And I'm going to bring that in right at the top. And I'm just making sure that I don't go into that window because I did put adhesive there. So the front cloud, I am going to pop up with dimensionals, and I'm using mini dimensionals. And so I'm going to put one on each side of the cloud. There we go. So just a couple to keep it balanced. And then it goes right towards the front here. All right. And I am going to be stamping my banner greeting and my little heart greeting. And because I want this to be really Valentine's Day-ish, I'm going to bring in the stamp from the Sweet Conversations, those little conversation hearts. The stamp actually says, "You're cute." Now, I just want that "you are," because that's so conversation hearts, right? So I'm just going to take my Stampin' Write black marker, and I'm going to go over just the "you are," just the letters "you are." And I'm going to stamp. This is a photopolymer stamp, so I'm going to bring my cushion in, my piercing mat. And I know my angle of my heart is going to be kind of tilted. And so I'm going to bring this in and stamp the "you are." And that's in black. Perfect. There we go. And I'm going to take the sentiment from the Awesome Otter stamp set. The Awesome Otter stamp set actually says, "You are utterly awesome." However, I think that the letters U and R fit the conversation hearts more than the words you are. So I'm just going to use the Utterly Awesome for my banner. And because I just want that particular part of the stamp or the image, I'm going to use again my marker. And so I just kind of tilt it at maybe a 45-degree angle and ink up. That way I'm not getting ink on the parts that I don't want to appear. So you are Utterly Awesome. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this down. This is red rubber. I don't want to stamp on the piercing mat. And this is barely going to fit on there. So I'm just being really careful to fit this on the banner. There we go. Utterly Awesome. Not bad. See how easy that is when you omit. Okay, so we've got that going on. Now I'm going to adhere this banner to the heart with flat adhesive, and just at one end. And let's see, I'm going to try. There we go. So there is my greeting. You are Utterly Awesome. I'm going to flip that over. And this time I'm going to mount it with mini dimensionals. I want it to pop up. It is going to be covering the brad, and the brad has a little bit of depth to it, so we need to pop it up just a tiny bit. I'm going to bring in my card. There we go. And my little sentiment on the heart that says you are. And I'm going to cover up that brad with part of the heart. There we go, just like this. Whoops, my banner actually slid down. Let's see if I, that's what I love about Tombow, right? So forgiving. It went a little bit low. Oh, I've got inky fingers all over now. But it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Yeah, let's see. There we go. Let's see if I can wipe that clean. My ink had not dried, and I touched the sentiment. You can kind of see a little bit of ink there. Not to worry. I have a good friend, Marilyn, who always says we can put a little bit of bling over these little blemishes. That's exactly what we're going to do. Now I'm going to bring in my smaller heart. And by the way, these were cut from polished pink. They have the little stitching on them. And all three are from the Give It a Whirl die set. I'm going to use flat adhesive behind the tiny one that goes on the front. And it's kind of like falling from the little banner. So I've got that down there. And let's see, what else am I going to add? I am going to add a little twine bow, because this is totally beachy. The twine, for some reason, makes me think of the coast of the beach. And I'm just bringing in a tiny little piece. I'm not even snipping it. I'm just going to tie a bow, bring it in, and I'm going to snip it with my ribbon scissors to reach across. There we go. Oh. And I am going to adhere this to the heart. I'm going to use a mini glue dot. And these, as you may know, are from Paper Pumpkin Kits. I love to save these for just this reason. Now I'm looking around wondering, there's my Take Your Pick tool, because these are the perfect tool to use to grab these mini glue dots. I use the piercing tip and go right underneath. And this is going to be added right to the side on the heart and the banner. And I'm kind of burnishing that on. I'm going to take the same tool and remove the backing so that I can have my glue dot exposed. And I'm going to go ahead and stick my little twine bow on. Perfect. Now, I always love a little extra bling, so here's what I'm using today. Let's see if I can get my hands on them. Let's see. Looking. They were on my desktop right in front of me. Here we go. So these are the Foss Sea Glass shapes. Oh my gosh, these are perfect for the awesome otters. These sea glass shapes are so special. They come in 3 colors. So there's like the white, the clear, that are some that are kind of sandy, and some that are very watery, kind of like pool party color. So I'm going to take some of these shapes and I'm going to add them to my card. I'm going to take one of these bigger ones. And again, I'm using my Take Your Pick tool. I'm just going to add it to the label. I'm going to get one of the tiny ones and put it on that little heart. And I'm going to put a couple, and let's see, I'm going to put the sandy colored ones down below as well. So I'm going to put 2 of these like so. Oh my gosh, so cute. Ow. Oh, I'm going to cover that up because that is kind of messy. I'm just going to bring in another sea glass element. There we go. And because I did that, I'm going to go overboard with my sea glass. This is so pretty. Let's see if I can just bring it in. I want to bring it in on the white, but that's not happening. I don't like that. So I'm going to bring it in right on the water. Okay, so we've got that going on. You are utterly awesome. Now on the inside, we do have a colored card base. So I've cut a layer of basic white 4 by 5 1/4. And here's where we're going to stamp our greeting because this is a Valentine's Day card. I'm going to use my piercing mat because I'm going back to my Sweet Conversation stamp set, which is the little talking or the conversation hearts, and it's got the Happy Valentine's Day sentiment there. And what I'm going to do is ink this up, and because I have my StazOn right in front of me, that's the ink I'm going to use. You don't need it, but that's what's handy. You could use Memento black ink as well. And so easy to keep this straight because it's see-through, it's photopolymer. And I'm going to stamp down there. And you know what? I don't like that because it's kind of smudgy. And that works out perfectly because I didn't adhere this down. I can just flip it over, right? And let's give it a second try. Second time's a charm, right? Let me bring that down. And this font is so delicate. You just want to press down firmly and bring straight up. There we go, much better. Okay, so I'm happy with that, but I'm going to do one more thing on the inside of my card. I bring that in because I don't want to stamp on my piercing mat. I'm going to bring in the little dancing otter. So cute, that expression on his face. I'm going to be inking up. He's going to be peeking up on the corner of the card. There we go. And now we're getting there. And I'm going to close up this ink. I'm done with the ink. Not done yet though. What I'm going to do is add one of the little die cut hearts, polished pink, a little bit of flat adhesive because this is the inside of the card. And he's going to be holding that little heart in his hand that says Happy Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh. Such a sweet card. I would love to get this card for Valentine's Day. I would love to give this card for Valentine's Day. And I'm going to flat adhere this to the inside of the card. I'm using my liquid glue, dot, dot, not a lot, right? Because I don't want it oozing out the sides. Voila. Okay, so here we go. Just like so. So fun. There is my Otterly Awesome Valentine's Day card with Give It a Whirl. And now I have 2, and to me, these are really girly. So what I've done is create one that's a little bit more manly. All I did was switch up the colors. Instead of giving it the Coastal Cabana base and the pink hearts, I've got the Sahara Sand card base with red hearts. You are utterly awesome, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the same effect. There's my little otters swimming in, floating in the water, and peeking through the water. Happy Valentine's Day. What do you think? I love it. Thank you, Debbie. And that's so sweet. I love it too. Okay, so let me grab my, let's see, my Valentine's Day gift card class. And these are so stinking cute. Remember, the Awesome Otters are your free celebration gift through the end of February. And let's see if I can get ready here. I have my card class that was released this week, and you can order just the card class and kit. You can order just the PDF for the directions, or you can order the whole shebang, get the class, the bundle, the kit, however you like. I will post the link up above. So here's what it looks like. I have this sweet little mini magazine holder for the 4 cards. It is based on the Flowering Tulip set and those beautiful flowers in Poppy Parade. Love you so much. Besides the mini magazine holder, we have another spinner card. Love you so much. Open that up. Did you see those pretty flowers on the bottom? Oh my gosh, it's sweet. You are so thoughtful. Thank you. Then I have the No One Deserves a Happier Birthday, still with the tulips. Just Thinking of You. And a birthday gift card holder. Look how fun this is. So I'm going to open that up. Inside goes No One Deserves a Happier Birthday Than You with a gift card slot. And this is the class. Let's see, reservations are due. I believe it's January 22nd for shipping on the 28th. Super cute card class. I hope you'll join me. I'll put the link up above this video so you can join. And I'll leave you with my Utterly Awesome Valentine's Day card. I hope you give it a try. I love that technique with the cling wrap, the bleach, and some coloring, and of course the die cuts with the Give It a Whirl. What do you think? Any questions? Let me see. I'm going to stay on for just a second longer, and I think I kind of kept you a little bit longer than I intended. But this, as I said, this card takes a little bit more time to create, but it's super fun. I know the recipient's gonna love it with all the special elements, the interactivity, and that sweet sentiment inside. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Cheers.